Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. It is pushing the limits, and what a busy news day we have over the course of the last 24 hours or so. Don Lemon arrested last night in L.A. 3 million documents in the Epstein files have been released. Donald Trump's name in there hundreds of times. Of course, more fallout in Minneapolis. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Ryan Shedd, popular left-wing podcaster, is going to be joining us here at the bottom of the hour. Nicole Mitchell in hour number 2. But, I've been wanting to get this guy on the show here for a little while. He's done this show before. Great journalist. His newsletter, Public Notice. And he's out there in Minneapolis, which is wild and crazy in itself. Aaron Rupert joining us right now on the program. Aaron, I really do appreciate you being here on such a very busy news day, as I'm sure you're aware. How are you?
I'm all right. My head is kind of spinning from all the news today. It's been one of those days where it was kind of reeling from development to development and clipping and, not really making sense of it yet. But appreciate being able to come on your show and talk through some of it with you.
Yeah, certainly appreciate you being here, Aaron. And obviously, I want to get to Minneapolis with you, and we will get to that and you being there and living there. But what was your first reaction when you had heard Don Lemon was arrested last night?
I was a little bit surprised because, Trump talks a big game with stuff like this and oftentimes doesn't follow through, and it can be kind of just, a way to sort of toss red meat to his base. We're going to lock up Obama or lock up Hillary. And, these things don't ever really happen. So, it's disconcerting in that way that, they're putting, they're kind of following through in a way that I think Trump hasn't in the past. Now, I haven't seen the latest developments. I'm curious. There was some speculation this morning as to what the basis of this arrest was, because one judge had already considered the possible charges against Lemon and had rejected them. And, I saw some lawyers kind of wondering, if there was even a warrant or if they were just kind of going rogue on this. So I haven't seen the latest on that, but
well, Aaron, they're claiming that he broke a portion of the FACE Act, which I think is absolute nonsense. It's insane. All he did was take out his phone and record. He didn't even know it was going to be at a church after speaking with him again the other day. And he just took out his phone and recorded. He didn't disrupt anything. So I actually don't think this is going to hold up in court. He also has some of the best attorneys that money can buy. And I think this is an absolute joke. And I guess my next question to you, Aaron, is, do you think it's a coincidence? Because I don't, that this happens hours later. 3 million documents in the Epstein files are released. As you know, Trump's name mentioned hundreds of times in these documents.
Yeah, I guess I'm not really sure if there's any link between those two things. Certainly with the Epstein stuff, some of the allegations I've seen circulating on social media look really, really bad for Trump, that he's accused of, sexual assault and worse. So then, of course, I saw some reporting that, some of the most incriminating documents were live for a period of time and then taken down from the DOJ website. So that's another one where I don't really have a firm grasp on it yet, because I haven't myself had time to go through the 3 million or however many documents released. I will say that Blanche's news conference was very incriminating. He had a line about, we gathered 6 million documents, but we're only releasing 3 because we over collected, and then of course he made sure to bring up that anything pertaining to ongoing federal investigations would not be released. And, we know that Trump has tried to gin up Epstein-related criminal investigations into Bill Clinton, for instance. And so what is the scope of that? Could that be used as a pretext to not release, documents that are incriminating about Trump? And then, of course, there are documents, as we already alluded to, that are incriminating about Trump. But is that kind of like a smokescreen because they're included with these other unverified tips to sort of make it look like, these tips were just kind of wild and crazy and who could believe this stuff? So, but if that's the case, then why are they deleting them? So, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes you want to ascribe, nefarious motives where there's a big conspiracy, and then you see how hand-handed things are where they release these documents, then after they're live, scrub them from the site, where it's like, well, if there was some sort of, mastermind, if these people were conspiratorial masterminds, you think they could do a little bit better than that. So I haven't totally, I haven't totally made sense of that yet.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Aaron. I was unaware that you live in Minneapolis. Before I ask you questions, so many of them of what's been going on there. How long have you lived there?
We moved here in August. I had been living up kind of in the suburbs for a number of years. Basically, we were in DC until COVID. COVID kind of took us here. I'm from here originally, and it's my second stint in Minneapolis. I lived here for pretty much the entirety of my 20s. So yeah, we kind of put down some roots here, and of course, going back to the school shooting in August, it's been kind of a dicey 6 months. But I will say, the solidarity and the way the community has rallied in the face of this latest, the occupation that's going on here has been really heartening and has kind of affirmed our choice to move here, even if the circumstances day to day are kind of tough.
Aaron, you're so right, because I've been praising so many wonderful people in Minneapolis. I think without all these protests, I'm not sure that Tom Homan gets in there and Bavano leaves. I'm not sure that, changes would have been made if not for that. So I certainly give a lot of people there a lot of credit. What has this been like for you and your family being there? I mean, all this happening and all eyes on Minneapolis, too, obviously, in my opinion, innocent people that were murdered. I'm not sure how far you live from where these shootings took place, but I would imagine you're not too far. This obviously, for lack of a better term, hits home for you.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're only about a mile and a half away from where Renee Good was killed, and then kind of about the same distance to where Pretti was killed. It's kind of like a triangle between those two sites and where I live. But yeah, it's been really strange. It's like kind of living under it. I mean, it literally is like living in an occupied territory because obviously the community relations with ICE are very hostile. And, that's been part of the reason that, there's been such good organization on the ground here with neighborhood groups who, have kind of, it's like each neighborhood kind of has a node that is really activated on Signal, but, where people kind of act as first reporters if ICE is spotted. They get out patrols to film and monitor them, kind of warn other people. People in my block have been really engaged with like families who have school children where either the parents are at risk because of ICE or the kids are, where, families who are not at risk have been picking up kids from school, bringing them home, getting groceries, even taking out the trash for them because people have been taken as they're taking out the trash. ICE basically will kind of set up shop on streets and just watch and wait for an opportunity, if they're looking for somebody. And so, it's a very kind of bizarre state of affairs here. And then, just even for us day to day, having little kids, like ICE has a very well-earned reputation at this point for being extremely erratic drivers. They've been involved in a number of car accidents, like they're racing down city streets, driving 60 and 30 mile an hour zones sort of thing. So, between that and like, there's been a number of incidents where they've like kind of indiscriminately dropped tear gas in major intersections. And it makes it kind of hard to do normal family things because it's like you kind of want to just stay home and sort of wait it out. But, as we saw this week, there was like all of this talk about like a pivot on Monday and Tuesday that, Trump fired Bavino, he's kind of tamping it down a little bit. Things are going to de-escalate. That hasn't been the case. I mean, ICE is still just as active today as they've been, a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And, unfortunately, it feels like it's just kind of biding our time until the next innocent person is killed, either by a shooting or a car, a traffic accident. But it's things have not really improved this week, despite what certain media figures might have told you.
That's interesting, Aaron, because this is the first I've heard of that. So you're claiming that because you live there, that you haven't seen much of any of a change at all in the last couple days.
Not at all in terms of ICE, the scope of their activities. Now, I will say that there was some public reporting about this yesterday, and this has accorded with just my own observations of things that are happening here this week. That it does seem like there has been some sort of directive to ICE and CBP that when they are being trailed by observers or they encounter protesters, to basically flee instead of like getting into an escalatory situation. So if that is true, and that could just be kind of anecdotes that are individual and don't necessarily reflect like a policy change, but if there has been a policy change, that would at least be slightly a step in a positive direction. But I follow the site called ICE Out, which I highly recommend to anybody in the country who is interested in ICE, because it's like community-based reporting of their activities. And just the sheer scale of what they're up to in the Twin Cities has not been any less this week than it was in prior weeks. On the contrary, it feels like they've really waged a campaign this week against schools and bus stops. Like they've been really kind of camping out, either because they're targeting parents or like intimidating people. So there still is that sense where it's like they kind of want more. They want people to they're kind of ratcheting it up step by step, and we've seen how that ends with Pretti and with Renee Good, and so. I keep hoping that there's going to be an off ramp that isn't, worse things happening, but I still don't really see one yet.
Oh, that's so horrible. I'm so sorry to hear that. Aaron, when you're driving around the city, I'm just wondering, do you see ICE agents like everywhere? I mean, I'm just wondering because, drive around Las Vegas. Yeah, you'll see cops here and there, but I would imagine driving around Minneapolis, they're all over the place, right?
I have only personally witnessed ICE vehicles on two occasions, once on the freeway and then once where there's a church a couple blocks away that they kind of use as like a staging ground, or they like kind of gather in the parking lot.
Right.
Normally what happens is because the neighborhoods are so observant, like there was a report a couple days ago of ICE being in a Walgreens parking lot that's not too far from where I live. And so then I just kind of avoid it. You know what I mean? Like you don't really want to necessarily tangle with them unless it's like a situation where there was actually a restaurant just up the street where there was a report of ICE being there 2 days ago. And then I actually went there as like, it was kind of my turn to go and see what was going on. And they had already left by the time I got there. But it's not, it's not a situation where like you drive down the street and there's just ICE everywhere. It's that like if you drive around long enough, you're probably going to encounter them because there's something like upwards of 3,000 DHS officers here. And it seems like they're working every single day. And to give you a sense, like there's only like 500 Minneapolis cops. So that's part of the intimidation factor here, is that they want it to be known that they have the superior firepower, that if it came to, some sort of battle in the streets, that they would have force, overwhelming force.
Yeah.
And that's been part of the annoyance, when they rail against the Minneapolis cops, where they say, oh, why aren't the cops providing backup or helping us? Well, it's like, they're kind of just rampaging through neighborhoods. Then they want the cops to clean up their mess. Like I can understand why cops wouldn't necessarily be keen on that. And there's so many more federal officers that it's just kind of unsustainable on every level. But no, it's not like you drive on the street, you see ICE everywhere, but there's a pretty good chance, within like a 1 mile radius of me, that there's somewhere right now up to no good, probably harassing someone. And, that is very unsettling.
And Aaron, do you feel like that if you were a brown person or if you had an accent, that you probably at one point or another would have been asked for ID and or proper paperwork? Do you feel like that probably would be the case? Because I'm hearing a lot of stories from a lot of people out there that has happened to them.
Yeah, I mean, there was even the story last week, the Brooklyn Park police chief, which is an inner ring suburb of Minneapolis, who, he did a press conference and he kind of prefaced it with like, I am not a supporter of defunding ICE or of abolishing ICE, but we've had off-duty cops who have reported to us that they're getting harassed by ICE. And there was even a specific anecdote he had of I think it was a woman cop who's a person of color who was, ICE harassed her, asked for some sort of documentation. She tried to film it, and then they like knocked the phone out of her hand. And this is a cop that this is happening to. So like, yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good bet, especially if you're Somali. And because so many Somalis and Hmong people, I mean, there's a large Hmong population here too, because the vast majority of them are legal, it's kind of pivoted more towards targeting Latinos. And we do not have, I mean, we have, relative to the size of our city, it's a relatively small Latino population here. I mean, it's not like going to, Arizona or California where it's a much larger proportion of the population. So yeah, I mean, especially if you're not African-American, if you fall into like the, Somali, Hmong, Latino. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a high likelihood I would have been asked for a paper somewhere.
Couple more quick questions for you, Aaron, and I really do appreciate your time. If you're just joining us, he's Aaron Rupar, the newsletter's Public Notice. He is a wonderful journalist, and he's out there in Minneapolis. Aaron, it seems like the defense from some on the right, a lot on the right, this second video that comes out with Alex Pretti is him at worst case scenario kicking a vehicle, and it seems like they're using that as an excuse to execute him. Like, I don't understand why that's even relevant. Yeah. And then when we look at the other shooting, which took place with Renee Good, they say, well, she was driving towards the officer, where all camera angles, and the New York Times did a great piece on this, shows that she was trying to avoid the guy, Jonathan Ross, and he's the one who stopped right in front of her car. Like, I don't understand the defense with both of these shootings. What do you make of this?
Well, you're right to highlight that. I will say that it seemed like in the Pretti instance, the lies were too much even for the administration, because of course, that was Bavino who's out there saying, oh, both Good and Pretti, these suspects who assaulted officers. And then Noem's quote, I believe she had the one about he brandished the weapon, right, which like anybody who saw the video knew that was a lie. And then of course, like they've kind of put Noem on the back burner a little bit. She hasn't been fired, but Bavino got fired. So they brought in Homan, who, I think it's kind of like a head fake. I don't think anything has really changed, but at least he paid lip service to, we're doing a drawdown and like we're not doing things perfectly, and like kind of sounded sane in a way that Bavino and Noem were clearly, so over the top, the outrageous lying. So yeah, I mean, it's I mean, it really is a reaffirmation of why it's so important for people to film. Because, there was a story, and maybe you remember this, in Chicago, of a woman who was shot like 5 or 6 times by ICE and survived. Mm-hmm. And that, it's been in the news a little bit, but it never became like a big national story because I don't think there's any footage of it, or at least it hasn't been posted or released. And so, it adds a dimension where everybody can kind of relate to these, these terrible things that are happening in a way that you couldn't if you're just reading about it or if you just heard about it. But yeah, I mean, it's the lying is outrageous, and they lie about everything. And that's a very new dynamic in our society where the federal government, you can't believe a word that they say. You have to actually presume in advance that they're lying, because that's, they've demonstrated that to us. And that puts you in a really scary place, because like now the authorities, we can't trust them anymore. So if there's like a pandemic or, some sort of conflict abroad, we're not gonna be able to believe a word that they say. And that's a really scary thing.
So, Aaron, this is your mayor now, right? You live there. This is your mayor, Mayor Frey. This is your governor, Governor Tim Walz. What do you make of the way that they've handled this? And what, if anything, can they do here moving forward?
So my frustration has been with local officials that there's a lot of kind of the right talking points, but not much action. And, I think it's imperative on the local authorities here, the county, the county prosecutor, the attorney general, Keith Ellison, to try to bring charges. Now, of course, that's complicated by the fact that the feds aren't cooperating. So local authorities don't have access to all the evidence that they normally would. But, there's a lot of cell phone footage in both of these cases. There's a lot of eyewitness testimony. So, I think there has to be a demonstration that they're not just going to take this and sort of do pleading press conferences asking Trump to be a leader, as Jacob Frey did, or, Walz kind of called upon him to, leave. The pleading thing is not going to work. Trump is not listening to it. He's not a good faith partner. So you have to kind of operate from there and then figure out what you can do. And one of the few things that I think they can do, which would obviously be a big step toward accountability, would be to bring charges against some of these officers. That seems like it's a long way away. We don't even know the identity of the shooters of Pretti. Here we are 6 days later. I mean, it's insane that we don't know who these people are. So they have a bad hand. There's no great way to play it, but I do think there has to be a premium in the weeks to come on actually doing something, as kind of trite as that may sound, instead of just going on MSNBC and kind of, winning the TV hit, but not really, translating that to any meaningful change.
You think there ever be accountability for Jonathan Ross or any of these other officers that, in my opinion, executed Alex Pretti? You think there'll ever be accountability from you? You've been covering shootings. You've been covering the news for a very long time. Do you think there'll ever be accountability here?
I wouldn't go right to saying no, because, with murder charges, there is no statute of limitations. So it's certainly conceivable that, in 2029, if Dems have a lot of power, that there could be, accountability. And I think there's going to be a real thirst for that, because we already saw the opposite approach when Biden won, and he tried to kind of, pretend everything was normal. They had a very slow prosecution of Trump.
Right.
I think there's going to be a real demand, that there is accountability, and that it's swift, in the sense of like, we got to charge some people. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a doomer and say no. I mean,
right.
It feels like it's a long way off now, but I think it's certainly within the realm of possibility that in the future there could be.
Well, Aaron, I really do appreciate your time. I always appreciate it when you do this show. You're a great journalist. Of course, your newsletter, Public Notice. Can you just give out the information before I let you go, how people can follow
we've been covering the Minnesota story inside and out. I think we've had nonstop coverage this week. It's publicnotice.co. You can follow me at aaron.rupar on Blue Sky AT Rupar on Twitter. And always a pleasure doing your show. Thanks for having me, and we'll do it again soon. Thank
you, Aaron. You're a great journalist. Please keep up the great work, my friend. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, there you go. Aaron Rupar, everybody, out of Minneapolis. It's funny. A friend of mine, Andrew, had told me the other day that, hey, you should get Aaron back on. And I said, oh, yeah, I love Aaron. He's great. And he's like, yeah, he's out of Minneapolis. I'm like, you're kidding me. I didn't even know that. Aaron's so good at what he does. He really is. And it's a pleasure, having people like that in my Rolodex, people that I have so much respect for that are so good at their job. And obviously we go from one person to another that I consider a good friend who is also great at what he does, a great left-leaning podcaster.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
It comes, Ryan Shedd, on such a very busy and crazy news day. My phone was blowing up this morning because, everybody knows that Don Lemon is a personal friend of mine. I think he's a great man, and he's been a great friend to me, and he's helped me in my career. And I was very saddened to hear about what happened to him at around midnight last night in LA. Ryan, first of all, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what was your first reaction?
Literally the first thing I saw this morning was the Pam Bondi text under the AG, header. And it's just like, you got to be kidding. And why we're all, Don Lemon is the face of this today. It's worth noting that there were 3 other black journalists that were picked up along with him. So,
I'm so glad you mentioned that.
That's not a coincidence.
I'm so glad I didn't even think about that. And I got to start thinking like that now, because I did think about that with Don Lemon. Here's a gay black man that they're going after. 100%. But if you're a white ICE agent and you murder somebody, nothing to see there. You're so right. These are all minorities that they arrest. I think that's important to note.
It is from where I'm standing, because this whole agenda, again, just my personal opinion, it just seems to all be aimed at all these communities. If you don't have the same complexion as you and I, you're in trouble right now. I don't know any other way to put it. The government is literally killing people in the streets, and now arresting journalists who are putting videos out and trying to make sure that we, the American people, are educated and that we are seeing what is actually happening. Because if one thing has become clear to me, and hopefully many of us out here, is that we cannot trust this government to tell us what is actually happening, or to release the full context of what we need to assess as Americans. And so to see, journalists being picked up, I want to also remind everybody, we shouldn't be horribly surprised. And the reason being, they got rid of almost every legacy media out of the Pentagon, out of the White House, and replaced them with people like Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and OWN, and all those other organizations, because they're loyalists and will post and say whatever the administration asks them to. So they got rid of everybody like Don Lemon and the other, I don't know all their names off the top of my head, I apologize, but please go search them up and support them online. The other journalists that are being picked up, it should be terrifying everybody, because if they can go after somebody like Don Lemon and pick him up without repercussions, you better be darn sure they can pick somebody like us up.
Oh, no question. And I tend to think that it's not necessarily a coincidence that we had 3 million documents from the Epstein files that were just released today. And in those Epstein files, we know that Donald Trump's name has been mentioned hundreds of times.
Quite disgusting things along too.
Awful, just incredible in a sense of how graphic, so graphic that we can't even talk about it on the air today, of allegedly things that Donald Trump did to underage girls. But yet, those in the MAGA world, or people like the Matt Walshes of the world, or the Jack Posobics of the world, and all the MAGA grifters, they're not even mentioning the Epstein files. Can you imagine for a moment? I say this all the time, Ryan. If Joe Biden, for example, was mentioned in the Epstein files hundreds of times, they still talk about Joe Biden's diary. They still talk about, or Joe Biden's daughter's diary. They still talk about that. But yet, Donald Trump in the Epstein files hundreds of times. So now you can't say he's not in the Epstein files. So I guess now it's turned to, oh, well, none of it is credible. None of it is true. Even though these young girls who made these claims, they haven't received any money. They haven't received any compensation. They haven't received any justice. Why would they lie? And yet they want to discredit this. And by the way, they only released 3 million of the 6 million files. Where are the other 3 million files?
That was my first thought, honestly, was imagine how bad what we haven't seen is yet. Because what we've seen is pretty darn damning, in my opinion.
Yes.
And again, today I've seen 2 or 3 snippets that, and by the way, to all the content creators out there that read through these documents and highlight it for people like me who need cliff notes, thank you so much for what you do. That being said, I've seen 3 excerpts today that are really disturbing. So I challenge everybody, we're not trying to start a cult. We just like fact checking them. Go read this stuff for yourself and make your own decision on if you think somebody that is even accused of these things should be running our country.
Yeah, it's a very good point that you bring up. And every single time some MAGA grifting fool on the right brings up Don Lemon and how happy they are that a guy who took out his phone and recorded a protest is in jail, but yet you don't want to bring up the Epstein files. I will call you out every single day.
Graham Allen's another good one that we should point our finger and laugh at, by the way.
Yeah, they all are.
He's celebrating it online today, and it's just like, you realize that you're an online personality that could be picked up like Don Lemon, just like that when power shifts.
They don't think like that. And here's how stupid all these people are. Now I'm going to get into the Don Lemon stuff here in a little bit, but just to shed some light on this, he's a wealthy man. He has the best attorneys that money can buy. He has no criminal record. He's never been arrested before. I believe these charges are going to be thrown out. And by the way, there were multiple judges that already said that they didn't want to indict.
Yeah, there's already a precedent set to have this thrown out.
Right. So let's just assume for a moment, and by the way, I don't think this is going to happen. Let's assume that he's convicted, which I don't think he will be. I think these charges.
I agree with you. I don't think he will be.
But even if he was,
let's talk about it.
Even if he was, he's not going to jail. He would get probation. He would get a slap on the wrist. And if anything, it'll help his career. I'm not saying I wanted this to happen.
It's going to boost his profile, his profile for sure.
I mean, but they're so stupid. Throw him in jail and lock away the key. The Matt Walshes of the world. Oh, really? The guy doesn't have a criminal record. He's never done anything wrong in his life. Even if he was convicted, which he won't be, in my opinion, even if he was, he's not going to spend any time in jail other than today. I mean, I don't understand these. Are they that stupid? They don't even understand the law. They don't even understand the situation.
You know, I think they do understand. I do think they drop the ball sometimes and don't realize that they're actually, again, raising his profile versus, making him less powerful in the media. I think it's more ego and them really thinking that, they're in control. And until that shifts, these things are going to continue happening. So, again, I just want to, this is just January, guys, just January. We've seen 2 American citizens murdered in the streets.
Yep.
Let's call it what it is, by the federal government. We've seen a state activate the National Guard. So we have the military being deployed against a federal agency. So that's important too. Sure. And now we have black journalists, and yes, I'm going to continue saying black journalists because I didn't see any white journalists picked up last night. Correct me if I'm wrong. And now we've got journalists being picked up off the street for recording, reporting, and interviewing at protests. But mind you, not upset about a tax-free church being run by somebody also heading a group of ICE agents. Not upset about that.
Yeah.
You're upset about the people reporting it.
Let's be clear. These people on the right are defending pedophiles and murderers.
Fact.
All for wanting to arrest a journalist for recording a protest. That's really what it comes down to here. It's sick. And I haven't even gotten to what's going on in Minneapolis. Let's in regards to these shootings. I want to get your thoughts on this. So let's start with Alex Pretti. They're using this video from 11 days prior of him, worst case scenario, kicking a vehicle and spitting towards an officer. He wasn't arrested. And they're using that as a defense for executing him. Like, I'm trying to understand why they even bring this up.
Because they're desperate. That has become very evident to me, spending as much time online as I do, reading their stuff. They are terrified because they know how bad this is. They know how bad it looks and the PR nightmare that it is for not only Trump and MAGA, but literally the government and law enforcement. Like you said, this was 11 days prior. And here's a few things I want to point out. He was attacked again by more than one person, ICE agents, call them whatever. He had his weapon on him that day as well, which you can see in the video once they start wrestling with him. And he didn't pull it that day either. So now we know that he was engaged and attacked by ICE 2 times and did not pull his weapon either times.
Right.
That's all I need to know. The rest is just noise.
And I want to ask you something, Ryan, because you serve this country honorably. You know a thing or two about weapons. What they're doing is they're trying to use the excuse of those officers executing him because they might have heard his weapon accidentally discharged when an officer took it from his waistband. Is that an excuse to say, well, we're off the hook now, we can't be criminally charged because we thought that he still had a weapon on him and or we heard a gun discharge? Is that an excuse to shoot and kill somebody?
No, it's not an excuse. Sometimes when you're in those situations, yeah, some people call it cloud of war. I think, what your fight or flight, no matter how many times you've been trained to be in those situations, sometimes your fight or flight just, it messes with you. I'm not saying that's not a factor. There's always a human factor in all of this. Mm-hmm. That said, if I am in that situation and I know that I have at least 8+ people with me that all have weapons, all have kits on, all got plates in, and there's just this one guy, no, I'm not going to react that way, because if we can't subdue this one man with freaking 6, 7, 8 of us without shooting him, then we are really bad at our job.
Yeah.
But what it tells me is now we know why they cover their faces, because this was always the plan. They can't have their identities known, because then they can't do whatever they want without repercussions to them and their families. Yep. So again, this was 11 days prior. So seeing them try to post this and justify it while simultaneously raising Kyle Rittenhouse up as some kind of hero for going across state lines, buying a weapon, illegally through a straw man purchase, showing up somewhere he wasn't asked to be at, walking around brandishing an AR-15, and then murdering one person by overreacting, then murdering the 2 people that were responding to an active shooter, which I thought is something that we wanted everybody to do. Yeah. So again, it's like when you see how they weaponize one thing, if it's, somebody happens to be from the left or Democrat or liberal or just not Republican or not pro-Trump, you see how they weaponize that. But then you turn around and see how they will not only just dismiss, the Kyle Rittenhouses, but actually help them financially and with whatever, resources they have to get through the system. Mm-hmm. It's that bad.
I agree. It is. And then we look at, the Renee Good killing. I also believe that was murder. Here we have an
26
officer.
seconds before, she looks at the man and says, "I'm not mad at you, dude."
Yeah, and then he doesn't try to even talk to her. You notice he doesn't try to de-escalate. He doesn't ask her to get out of the car. What does he do? He does everything in law enforcement that you're told not to do. First of all, he's recording and using one of his hands, takes out his phone. He walks to the back of the vehicle, then to the front of the vehicle, stops in front of the vehicle, which obviously you're not supposed to do, shoots multiple times. The second, third, maybe even fourth shot was when she was already not a threat, on the side of the vehicle, shoots her in the head. After the shooting, doesn't check her pulse, doesn't see if she's still alive, doesn't try life-saving techniques. We've learned she did have a pulse up to 8 minutes after the shooting, doesn't help her, walks casually back to his unmarked vehicle, says, "Call 911, also against protocol, gets into his car with the weapon and leaves. And yet there's no investigation, nothing, no full investigation, no ballistics, no autopsy.
For either of these incidents. For
nothing.
Either of them.
It's, I'm at a loss for words. It's so angersome to have to even talk about this, because it gets me so mad that 2 Americans have been murdered, and the Trump administration says nothing to see here. You have Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem calling them terrorists. Stephen Miller calling Pretti an assassin. They've already made up their mind an hour after. I mean, I just can't believe the times we're living in today. I know I'm going on a tangent here, Ryan, but
I think we should. No, dude, I think it's important that we, especially us, because we have these platforms, we have a responsibility to continue what Don Lemon and them are doing. We may not be out in the street today, but we're on here talking about it, and you have a massive following. I have a decent following, and we're telling everybody that, follows us, or even if you're following to hate on us, the facts don't care what political party you are, what gender you are, what religion you are. What we are watching in American streets right now is not normal. We cannot normalize it. And it is all being done for the advancement of one man and his agenda and the people that helps. And if we don't get serious about acknowledging it and stopping it, if you don't think we are currently in a civil war, we will be shortly. Because when they start arresting the media, that's one of the last steps. I don't know what else to tell you. This is a pillar of fascism. Go Google it, go look it up, go read your dictionary, ask AI, have them draw to you with crayon. Whatever you need to do, understand what fascism is. And when they start arresting the media for reporting the truth and sharing it with the citizens, we are there.
Yeah, very, very well said, Ryan. I could not agree with you more. And before I let you go, I'm sure you're going to be talking about this yourself, not just on social media, but your podcast. Please give out that information, Ryan, so listeners at PTL Nation can join you and watch what you do, because I love what you do.
And thank you for always supporting me and our show. As you said, I have Hold the Line with Marcus Flowers, which is really spooling up nicely. We've had Sean Harris, who's running in Georgia, and we already have we have Amy McGrath coming on next week. So make sure you tune in. We're live Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. You can find it on my webpage or my YouTube, which is just Ryan Shedd, or you can go to Marcus Flowers Substack. That's pretty much our main hub. So go follow us there. Make sure you tune into the show. Our main goal is to bring the Democrats into the pipeline that we want to see, that we know are going to not just represent Democrats and liberals, but represent everybody in their district, Republican, Independent, Democrat. And just about everybody we bring on the show has that mentality of representing Americans. So please come check out Hold the Line, check out Marcus Flowers. And as always, brother, thank you and to the production team for having me on, man.
Of course, Ryan, always a pleasure, my friend. Have a great weekend to you and your
too,
family.
brother.
We'll talk to you next week. All right,
Stay
take care,
safe.
Ryan. There you go. Ryan Shedd, everybody, does a great job. Love what he does, and I appreciate him taking the time to join us as well. So I woke up earlier today, and obviously I was not very happy when I saw what happened to my friend, Don Lemon. I was not happy. Don is I consider him a good friend. He's helped me in my career. He gives me advice. We have private conversations, and I appreciate him very much. And I look up to him in a lot of different ways. I so much appreciate what he's been able to accomplish in his career, and I think he's so good at what he does, and he's such a good person. And I remember interviewing Don multiple times. Well, I interviewed him once on the air. Was it last week, I believe, about this church situation. And then I had a conversation on the air last week with a guy by the name of Warren Smith, who's a very popular right-wing podcaster, YouTuber. And I said something in that interview that was wrong. And when you're on the air 10 hours a week, sometimes you're not going to get things right, and you're going to mischaracterize things, and you're going to say things wrong. And in that conversation that I had with Warren Smith, I had said that Don Lemon knew that the protest was going to be at a church, and I was wrong because he never told me that. I mischaracterized it. I made an assumption that was not true, and I talked to Don about this. He did not know. And I explained that to Warren Smith, who put this out on YouTube, and that was misinformation because I got it wrong. What happened was, and this will be proven in a court of law, Don met this group of protesters when he was doing his live. And they didn't tell him that the protest was going to be at a church. He didn't know it was going to be at a church until the last second when he followed them into the church. So I mischaracterized a conversation that I had with Don, but that is here nor there because I believe he would have been arrested anyway, along with several others. Let me be very clear on this. 3 million documents of the Epstein files were released today. And in those documents, Donald Trump's name is mentioned hundreds of times. The claims of alleged sexual abuse of children are despicable and disgusting, and it gets my blood boiling. But those on the MAGA the right are not talking about that. They don't want to talk about this alleged child abuser who happens to be the president of the United States. They want to talk about a gay black man who took out his cell phone and was recording a protest in a church. Now, listen, I'll be very clear on this. Don Lemon has a lot of money. He has the best attorneys that money can buy. These charges are either going to be dropped. Maybe they'll get him on a trespassing charge. I don't know. I don't believe Don Lemon did anything wrong. Now, if you're going to talk about the protesters, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Yes, you shouldn't be protesting on private property, particularly a religious sanctuary. You think I care about these churchgoers that, their church service, their holy of all church service was interrupted? No, I don't care. You know what I care more about? I care about Renee Good being murdered. I care about Alex Pretti being murdered. I care about their families and the grieving process about what they're going through today. I care about young girls who were molested, sexually assaulted, and so many people that were named in the Epstein files that allegedly did some awful things to children. Yeah, I care more about that than I care about some churchgoers who will be able to go back to church on Sunday and pray to God, right? So many of these people that want Don Lemon in jail, but yet kept silent during the days where so many children were molested by priests. They didn't really want to talk about that, did they? But oh, holy now, they were really excited that a gay black man was arrested along with several other people who happened to be black. No coincidence there that this happens the night before the Epstein files, or at least 3 million of them, are released. So I'm sorry what my friend Don Lemon is going through. He's a good man. He's a real patriot. And all the qualities of what a real patriot should be. He's very intelligent. He's very articulate. He's a great reporter. He's a great journalist. And yes, I believe if you're a successful black man, in this case, gay black man, the MAGA right hates you. And it's disturbing. And we should all be frightened by what Pam Bondi, and we all know this isn't Pam Bondi. This is at the directive of Donald Trump. We all know that. But every single time somebody wants to bring up Don Lemon, and I believe he'll be exonerated here, please bring up the Epstein files. Please bring up the fact that Donald Trump is mentioned hundreds of times in the Epstein files. Oh, yeah, by the way, can you imagine if Joe Biden or Barack Obama or any prominent Democrat for that matter was accused of doing what Donald Trump is allegedly accused of doing to young girls? I can't even go into detail. I can't even talk about this in detail. That's how graphic and disgusting it is. I can't. If you want to know all the details, I can't talk about this on the radio. Go on and look at the details of how despicable and how disgusting these allegations are. And now they're moving the goalpost. First it was he can't be in the Epstein files. Now it's, well, he's in the Epstein files, but I don't think any of these claims are credible. Why would these young girls lie? What would be their motive of lying? They weren't paid. They weren't rewarded. There's never been any accountability. Release the rest of the files. If these files that were released today are this bad, imagine what 3 million more files will tell us. Oh, yeah, by the way, some of these files that they released today have already been erased. And those files that have been erased are very damning to Donald Trump. I do want to open up the phone lines at 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, that number to call in right now is 702-221-7283. 702-221-SAVE. I believe there are multiple reasons why Don Lemon was arrested, and it has nothing to do with any of his behavior or breaking the law, which I don't believe he did. I believe this happened, number one, as a distraction, as they knew that 3 million Epstein files would be released. I believe it's not a coincidence that all these people that they arrested today happen to be black. I also believe that they don't want accountability if you're an ICE agent that happens to be white that murders somebody in the streets of Minneapolis. They don't want any accountability for them. They certainly don't want any accountability if you have an R next to your name and you happen to be in the Epstein files. Let me be very clear. This is a joke. Just like Letitia James, James Comey, this is going to fall to pieces. Don Lemon will prevail. But I've said even before, even if they got a conviction, which I don't believe they will get a conviction, even if they got a conviction, what's going to happen to Don Lemon? You can make the argument this will help his career. This will make his profile even larger. What's he going to get? Probation? Don Lemon's going to be just fine. I'm worried about a lot of other people out there. He doesn't deserve to be in jail right now. Think about that for a moment. If you're an ICE agent and you murder an innocent mother, you become a millionaire overnight. That's right. A lot of Donald Trump's sycophant cultists have donated a lot of money to Jonathan Ross, who I believe committed murder. And the Trump administration will protect you. They will protect you if you're a murderer. They will lie and protect you if you're a pedophile. But if you take out your cell phone and record a protest, they will arrest you in the middle of the night in Beverly Hills. That's what they did to Don Lemon. It's sick. It's disgusting. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. 702-221-SAVE is the number to call. Let's start off with Chris. Chris is first up on PTL. Hello, Chris.
702.
Chris, go right ahead. Yes, go right ahead.
Hey, what's going on, Brian?
What's up?
So I just wanted to point out a few things here. I was going to go on a whole entire thing about Minnesota, but a lot of things that I would say have already been said. But I'll say this, though. A lot of these MAGA brainwashed idiots have forgotten, and even the government, they've all forgotten about a few major things. What this country was founded on. It was founded on we, the people. That's what it was founded on. And unfortunately, that's what all these morons are forgetting about. And when Trump is out of office, and eventually it will happen, these people kissing his ass have dug themselves into a hole so deep, there is no digging themselves out. I don't know how you feel about that. That's just me, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, I went after Marjorie Taylor Greene the other day, too. I said too little, too late. All these people will always be defined, in my personal opinion, as MAGA scum. That's who they are, and that's what they represent, and I have no patience for them anymore. If you still support Donald Trump at this point and you think he's doing a good job, then the chances are you're either a Klan member or you're just a plain old bigot, or you are really dumb as a doornail. You're dumb as rocks. I really don't.
I know, and right. And the other thing I want to bring up really quick, and I'll let you get going. The whole entire thing of I grew up in school with the Pledge of Allegiance and whatnot, and of course, obviously with the national anthem. The land of the free, the home of the brave. It's now becoming more the land of the tortured and the home of the cowardice.
I agree. Well said. Yeah, no, you're right. Well said, my friend. I really do appreciate your phone call. Obviously, if you're just joining us, we're talking about Don Lemon arrested last night, which I find to be repulsive. It's just absolutely disgusting. And how immature are these people that are in office right now, where the White House official government X account says when you have lemons, they made like a statement like that, like they're making a mockery of this, like it's some sort of funny joke. It's so sick. It's so disgusting. These are the people that are leading this country. It's so gross. 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Jackie. Jackie is next. Hello, Jackie. Hi, Jackie. Go right ahead.
Hi. How are you?
Hey, good. What's on your mind?
I find it very oxymoronic how like the right-wing podcasters and influencers are also attending these protests and filming things. And I don't understand how someone like Nick Shirley can go and, show up at daycare centers and healthcare centers and call himself a journalist and investigator when he could possibly be violating HIPAA for people walking in and out of those offices who are getting medical services. And also, I'm sure, if there are children in any of these daycare centers, that they might feel that kind of presence is also intimidating. It doesn't make any sense that it works for one, but it doesn't work for the other. And what are your thoughts on this? Because I have no idea how they make these arguments.
Well, let me just start out by saying this. It's almost impossible to argue with a MAGA supporter at this point. I mean, these right-wing podcasters and these grifters, they'll do an entire show talking about how they want Don Lemon to be arrested and throw away the key. But then when it comes to the Epstein files, they don't want to talk about it. Then when it comes to the murder of Alex Pretti, they don't want to talk about it. The murder of Renee Good, they don't want to talk about it. But they take so much joy in somebody like Don Lemon, who happens to be a gay black man. They take so much joy in that, and I think that's what's really unfortunate. Here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, and thank you for the call, my dear, by the way, I appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break.
Take care.
Thank you, my dear. I appreciate you. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to take more of your phone calls. 702-221-7283, 702-221-SAVE. And we're going to be talking more about how Don Lemon was arrested last night in Beverly Hills at midnight. We'll talk about that. Obviously, the Epstein files, 3 million documents released, and still no accountability for any of these officers, in my opinion, who executed Alex Pretti and Renee Good. We'll be back in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
You are way too smart, way too talented, way too good to be where you are. You are meant to be making way more money, feel way hotter in your body, and having way more fun. Hi, I'm Nicole Mitchell, and I'm a life coach. I help you get hotter and richer. If that is what you're looking for, you can find me at NicoleMitchell.com. My name, Nicole, is with a K, NicoleMitchell.com. You can reach out to me on my website or on Instagram, and I will be happy to be in touch and figure out what you're looking for and how I can support you in getting there.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Obviously, there's a lot of topics that we've been talking about today, including, of course, the Don Lemon situation. We're going to get back to that here in just a few moments. 3 million documents, Epstein file documents, have been released. We will certainly be covering that as well. And talking about that. And in my estimation, at least, still no accountability, zero accountability when it comes to what took place to Alex Pretti and Renee Good. Yes, I do consider it murder. And we are discussing that as well. Before I get right back to the phone lines, as you know, the Super Bowl is 9 days away, if I'm not mistaken. And during this time, there's a lot of people that enjoy making some wagers. So we asked you guys to go to our good friends at mybookie.ag and use our promo code LIMITS, and you'll get up to a $500 bet back bonus. Check them out. You go to my Facebook page, by the way, which is ever so growing, at Pushing the Limits. If you go to Pushing the Limits and you click on a link that we have provided for you in those videos at the Pushing the Limits Facebook fan page, you'll be able to click on that. Check them out, my friends at mybookie.ag. Obviously, I think it's very disturbing what happened to Don Lemon. I think it's extremely disturbing that in this country, there are a group of people on the right that see nothing wrong, nothing at all wrong with what happened to Don Lemon. That's totally fine. But yet, you can murder somebody in the streets of Minneapolis and there shouldn't be an investigation. Everything's totally fine. I find that to be extremely problematic in my personal opinion. Number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation is 702-221-7283. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. And I am going to start a new TikTok live because I guess there's audio issues in TikTok. So I'm going to start a new TikTok because I don't know why we're having so many audio issues. All right, let's go with Maureen. Maureen is first up on PTL. Hey, Maureen, what's going on?
Hi, Brian. I'm a member of the PTL community, and I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
And to get us through all this because it's such a dark time in our history. And I'd like to mention one thing.
Yes.
When I first heard about what happened in the church and what they did, only place my mind goes is all of the firebombing of the black churches in the South during the Civil Rights Movement.
Yep.
The 4 young girls murdered. And how could you even compare what he did with the atrocities of what the Ku Klux Klan did and they did in the South and the black churches.
You can't unless you're a sick.
Disgraceful.
You can't unless you're a sick person. I mean, I at this point, these people are so sick. They enjoy looking at somebody like Don Lemon get arrested, but yet you see these innocent people that are getting murdered on the streets, and they have no problem with that. I mean, these people are very sick. They're sociopaths. I don't really know. I don't know what other word to use to describe some of these people, but I've had it with them. I really have. I've had it with them. I don't know what else to say. I mean, these are sociopathic people that can't separate fact from fiction, and they want America to look white again. I don't know what else these people want. I mean, it's a sick state of affairs that we are in right now. It really is sick.
Well, I just want to tell you thank you for your show, and I want to mention that because that's all my mind goes to is all those bombings and that young man that sat and said prayer with those people in church, then shot him to death, and then you're taking Don Lemon in? I mean, what is going on?
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. Anytime you see anybody on social media or anybody bring up Don Lemon, ask them if they saw the Epstein files today and what their thoughts are on that. And then see what the reaction is to that, to these horrific human beings. Thank you for the call, my dear. I really do appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Nelson. Nelson is next up on PTL. Hi, Nelson.
Hello, how are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
I mean, I have a couple disagreements. I don't think we're going to be able to get through all of them, but first I want to talk about the incident that happened to Don Lemon. I believe he was arrested.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with him being arrested, but I mean, I also would agree that disrupting a church service and protesting is just stupid.
How did he disrupt the service?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, he was part of the protest and he was recording, and I know he was in the church.
So taking out your cell phone and recording is disrupting an entire church service?
No,
okay.
I don't think it is.
Okay, okay. Well, let's focus on Don Lemon. I don't want to talk about the protesters because I agree with you. You shouldn't. I've said that ad nauseum. Where do you disagree with me on this? You just said that you don't think he should have been arrested. You just agreed that.
I don't.
Okay. Okay. So where do you disagree with me on then? Help me understand, my friend.
I just heard he was part of the protest.
Okay. What do you mean you heard? What do you mean you heard he was part of the protest? Who cares?
I saw videos.
Okay, so you didn't hear, you saw videos. What did you see in the video? Okay, so let's rephrase that. What did you see in the video that would lead you to believe that he was protesting?
I don't know if he was directly protesting.
Okay, so don't say that then.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I apologize, but when he was recording and when he was talking to one of the members of the church, he was defending it. You know, he was defending.
Okay, well, that's an opinion, and we have a First Amendment right, don't we? At last I checked, freedom of speech. You have a right to agree or disagree with certain people. That's not against the law. So what did he do to disrupt? You haven't given me where do we disagree on?
No, I mean, that's true. That's fair. I mean, I just thought he was part of the protest, you know.
Okay, but he wasn't. He recorded it. Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. I mess up all the time. It's okay. All right. So what else? What else? So you called in to talk about Don Lemon. We agree fundamentally that he shouldn't have been arrested. Okay, good. I'm glad we came to some sort of agreement there. I appreciate that. What do you make of the fact that the Trump administration, literally, the Trump administration, no accountability, at least to this point, of any of these officers with these two murders. While this is all going on, the Epstein files are released, Trump's name in it hundreds of times in these 3 million documents. But it seems like not you, but a lot of people on the MAGA right. I don't know what side you're on, sir, and it doesn't really matter. But
I'm conservative.
Okay, that's fine. That's okay. But it seems like a lot of people on the far right don't want to talk about those issues, and they want to talk about Don Lemon. What do you make of that, sir?
Well, I mean, we already got past the Don Lemon issue. I think Don Lemon should probably be the least of their worries. I mean, what he did is not even really considered bad to compare to what the victims have suffered, you know, at the hands of ICE, you know, Renee Good and Alex Pretti.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those two, you know, those acts are just, they're not really comparable because one is way worse than the other, you know.
Well, I tend to disagree with you on that. What do you mean one is worse than the other? What do you mean by that?
No, that the shooting that happened to Renee and Alex is far worse than what Don Lemon did.
Oh, okay. I misinterpreted. Okay, I understand. Obviously, I agree with you. Of course.
Right, but with the incident of Alex Pretti, I do think, and I'm not obviously going to justify the shooting because what happened was horrible and should have never happened. But, you know, I did see actually there was a new video that released, I believe 11 days ago after the incident in which he was killed or murdered, where he was kicking an ICE agent's car and destroying the tail.
Why is that relevant? Why is that relevant?
Well, I mean, it's not relevant, but it's also not something you do.
Okay,
right?
but
Okay,
well, there's a lot of things. Sometimes people can speed. Sometimes people could kick a car. There's a lot of things that maybe you shouldn't do, but that doesn't warrant executing somebody. So why bring it up if you admit it that it's not relevant? Why are you bringing that up? Why? Help me understand. He's dead, sir. He was murdered. He was executed. Why are you bringing up him kicking a car? I'm sure you would admit that you in your life or me in my life at one point or another probably did something just as bad, if not worse, than maybe kicking a taillight. Why is that relevant? Why are we even talking about that? Help me understand.
Well, like I said, I don't justify the murder and I condemn all instances.
Okay, so I appreciate it.
I'm conservative.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that, but why even bring up him kicking a car? Why?
Because that's a crime.
Okay, so first of all, he wasn't arrested. That's number one. Number two, even if he did commit a crime, why is that relevant to what happened to him 11 days later?
No, it's not. I'm not.
So why are we talking about that? Why won't we focus on what happened when he was killed? Why are you bringing up him kicking? Who cares if he kicked the bumper of a car? What is it, a misdemeanor?
Sure.
Who cares?
Okay, I'm not trying to argue here.
I'm not trying to argue either. I'm just trying to understand, Nelson. You sound like a really nice guy. You're falling into the okay, Nelson. Yeah. I appreciate that, but you're falling into the right-wing trap. That's what they want you to do. They want you to focus on him kicking a bumper. Who the F cares? He was executed 11 days later. Kristi Noem said that he was a terrorist. Stephen Miller said that he was an assassin. He never reached for his weapon. He never assaulted officers. If the worst thing a guy does in his life is kick a bumper, he's a pretty damn good guy. Why are we even talking about that? That's why I'm frustrated. We should be talking about accountability for the officers who executed him in the streets of Minneapolis.
I agree. And like I said, even though kicking the tail light was a crime, it doesn't justify his death. I completely agree 100%.
Okay, I agree. So why are you bringing it up?
Well, because it makes him seem, like he was. I don't want to get you angry. I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but it makes him seem like in a way he was a bit of an agitator.
Okay, so what did he do what law did he break when he was executed?
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying that he kicked the tail.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what he kicked. I don't care. I don't care what he kicked. 11 days later, he was executed. The day he was executed, what laws was he breaking? Because that's really what matters here.
Well, obviously, at the time of his execution, he wasn't breaking any laws.
Okay, so why aren't we focusing on that? Why are we talking about a misdemeanor 11 days earlier? I don't understand why that's relevant to this conversation. I really don't. I don't think it's relevant. That's the point I'm trying to make to you. You're falling into the right-wing trap. And what we should be really focusing on, and you're entitled to your opinion, but what we should be focusing on is why still there's no accountability for Jonathan Ross, and there's no accountability yet for any of these officers who executed Alex Pretti. That's, to me, far more relevant than kicking a bumper of a car, which is completely irrelevant.
I completely agree with you. And it's, obviously because police have more immunity than normal civilians, which I disagree with.
Not criminally, they don't. Not criminally, they don't. Not criminally. If you're talking about liability civilly, yes, I would agree with you. Not criminally.
Oh, okay.
Do you think it was murder? Do you think that they murdered Renee Good and Alex Pretti? What are your opinions on that?
100%. 100%.
Well, I'm happy to hear you say that. Why do you think the Trump administration is protecting them?
Well, I mean, the Trump administration pretty much probably protects not just ICE, but all all branches of law enforcement pretty much just
They
about
do.
any
Do they
single
protect?
time,
Do they protect
and I
pedophiles?
disagree with that.
Do they protect
You know,
pedophiles too?
I'm a level-headed person.
I understand. I appreciate that. Do they protect pedophiles too?
Unfortunately, they have. Yes.
Did you vote for Trump?
I did not vote for Trump. You know, my family's Democratic, and they wanted me to vote for Kamala Harris, but I just voted for Kamala just to make him happy. But honestly, if it was me, I wouldn't have voted at all. But yes, I did vote Kamala. Yes,
okay, I understand. Okay, so help me out here, Nelson, if you may, and tell me if you think this is fair. Instead of focusing on a guy kicking a bumper, which I think I really don't care, I think it's irrelevant. Can we try to focus on what took place the day he was executed instead? Is that a fair request that I'm asking you?
The day he was, yeah, absolutely. We can focus on that. You know,
I'm just saying for you.
Recording his phone.
I'm just saying for you. I'm just saying for you personally. I think it would be much better because you agree with me. For the most part, we fundamentally agree this was murder. Okay, so if we fundamentally agree this is murder, let's focus on the murder. Let's make sure that people are held to account. And who gives two flying Fs if he kicked a bumper 11 days earlier? That's what right-wing media want you to focus on. I refuse to do that. You sound like you're too smart of a guy to allow that to enter your brain. Who cares? Okay.
Sure.
All that matters. They tried to do the same stuff with George Floyd. He was a bad guy. Look at the bad stuff he did. You know, all that mattered is the 9 minutes that Derek Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's neck and murdered him. All that matters is those few minutes when Alex Pretti was executed. That's all that matters here, not kicking a bumper. Make sense?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, good.
I try to come at it as level-headed and as humble and as non-biased as I possibly could, you know.
Okay, good.
Even though I'm conservative, you know, I try to be level-headed.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you calling in, Nelson, and you're welcome to call back anytime, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you have a good day.
Thank you, Nelson. You as well, Nelson. Thank you. Reasonable guy, but I don't know why we would ever bring up somebody kicking a car. It's completely irrelevant to the shooting of Alex Pretti. I just don't understand it. Let's see, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Ryan. Ryan is next. Hello, Ryan.
Hello, how you doing?
Hi, Ryan. What's up?
So what is up? So what happened? So what happened to Alex Pretti and the others remain good? My boyfriend, my mom's boyfriend, Steve, defends this. He defends everything that Trump does. And,
yeah.
And
that's why it's called a cult, my friend. I appreciate you. That's why it's called a cult. It sounds like your mom's boyfriend is a part of a cult. Ryan, have him call into the show. I'll fix him up. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Catherine. Catherine is next on PTL. Hi, Catherine. What's going on? Catherine, we have a 5-second delay, so you got to lower your radio, please. Go ahead, Catherine.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
I'm really
5-second delay, so you got to lower your
Catherine,
radio.
you got to lower your radio for me, please. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Me now?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay.
Go right ahead, Catherine.
Okay. So first of all, I'm glad what you're doing about Don Lennon.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of called in because I thought you would be speaking up for him.
Sure, of course.
Second of all, they keep, when they mention Alex Pretti, they don't mention that 6 men held him down.
Yep.
6 men held him down, had taken his cell phone and
That's
his
true.
gun.
Yep.
There was their lives weren't in danger. They just shot him.
Yep.
They just shot him.
The excuse that they are going to use is that they thought he was armed. Even if he was armed, there's no evidence that he was reaching for a weapon. So you can't use that excuse. They will use.
But you see in the video that they took his weapon.
Yeah.
You see in the video that they took it and they took his cell phone.
Correct.
So his hands were tied. So how could he shoot when his hands are tied?
Yeah. Where's his cell phone footage? Boy, I'd love to see that. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, it would be great. The other thing I just wanted to call, why I'm calling is that I just attended a rally yesterday. In our area, they're going to put an ICE facility. They're going to put an ICE facility in the next town where they're going to bring 8,000 people. in a town that only has a population of 4,000.
Right.
This is insane.
Well, everything the Trump administration is doing, they're going about it the wrong way. And whenever you have a Trump cultist fan that says, I love what he's doing with immigration, my immediate response is, do you love innocent Americans being murdered on the streets? Do you love that? So it takes away their argument.
No, I don't. No,
yeah,
I
of
don't.
course
And
not.
Of course not. You know, and I mentioned too, I don't understand what ICE is doing overseeing peaceful protests. They're supposed to be doing immigration, not overseeing peaceful protests and violently attacking peaceful protesters.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing.
It's exactly what they're doing. Yep. It's exactly what they're doing, my dear. I appreciate your phone call. You're right. We got to continue to call this stuff out. Don't let the MAGA narrative win. When it comes to Alex Pretti, they'll say, oh, look, he was a terrorist. He was kicking a vehicle, as somehow that's some sort of defense to executing somebody. When it comes to Renee Good, they will say, oh, she was trying to run over an officer, which, by the way, couldn't be further from the truth. She deserved what she got. It's a lie. It's what we call the MAGA lie. When it comes to the Epstein files, these are unsubstantiated claims. So first it went from he's not in the Epstein files to now, well, he's in the files, but nothing is credible in there. Don't let the MAGA narrative work. Please don't let it work. They'll make it like Don Lemon is a terrorist himself because he took out his cell phone and he recorded a protest in a church. This is the country that we are living in today. It should bother you. And if it doesn't bother you, quite frankly, there's something very wrong with you. Something very wrong with you. 702-221-7283. 702-221-SAVE. Let's now go to Albert. Albert is next on PTL. Hello, Albert.
Hey, Brian. How's it going?
Hey, what's up?
I just wanted to check in on you and see how you were doing, only because this crap, oh my gosh, I almost cussed, but this crap has been making me very depressed, and this is not the country I want to live in.
I don't recognize, I'm not gaslighting here. I've said this before. I do not recognize this country anymore. I don't recognize it. And it makes me sad to hear stories of people that are families that are being separated and people that are being beaten and people not getting the right to due process and American citizens murdered on the streets and journalists being arrested for taking out their cell phone and recording. I didn't think it would actually get this bad. And we've gotten to that point. We've gotten to that point now. But this is what happens when you reelect a fascist. This is what happens.
Oh yeah. And I also, this is much worse than the Arpaio days, but is it fine if I do, just so that way I can break the ice here, is it fine if I do a couple of impressions of Bovino and Homan?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Hi, my name is Greg Bovino, and I have a small microscopic penis, and I'm surprised that I was able to get married. You know what? I guess some person was dumb enough to get married with me, but really I have a Grindr account. And here's someone, hey, my name's Tom Homan.
That's Tom Homan.
All the people out there that criticize me.
He sounds like he has a bunch of marbles and marshmallows inside of his cheeks.
I think it's Donald Trump's mushroom. I think it's Donald Trump's mushroom that's in his mouth, quite frankly.
There we go. And this is my official nickname for Homan. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Tom Double Triple Fatty Homan. The only thing that he orders around the office is a whole bunch of damn cheeseburgers. That's what he orders. Oh no, shut up, Albert. I mean, you don't have the boss who's coming right.
Those are actually two pretty good impersonations. I might have to have you call back as Tom Homan one of these days, okay?
Oh yes, I will. Thank you
so
much.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. We need a laugh on a Friday, man. I'll tell you. It's been a rough day. It's been a rough week. It's been a rough 2 weeks. It's been a rough year. 702-221-7283. 702-221-SAVE is the number to call. Let's go to Larry. Larry is next up on PTL. Hey, Larry, what's up?
221-SAVE.
Go ahead. Larry, are you there?
Hello, Brian. Yeah, how you doing?
The number again, 702-221-7283. 702-221-SAVE. Hey, Larry, what's going on?
Oh, I don't recognize the country anymore, Brian, but keep up the good work getting the word out there. At least we got freedom of the press with the radio. in TV.
I don't know. Do we? Do we, Larry? Boy, I don't know. Under this administration, I'm not sure.
I'm ashamed to be, a registered Republican, but I'm definitely got to either go your route, independent, but it's sad to watch how it's deteriorated, and the abuse of power is. I'm echoing what you're saying. Just back with the shootings, of an initial investigation is required, and I love Leonard's point of view as far as law enforcement. I mean, there has to be ballistic reports and just an independent look at what the heck went down there. I mean, 11 shots into this guy. It's crazy.
It's beyond crazy, and we all know that, sadly, when you're involved in officer-involved shootings, some of the shootings are going to be bad shootings. Sometimes there's going to be criminality involved. But the thing that we've always had in this country, for the most part, is we have investigations. We have thorough, independent investigations. And I always criticized the coroner's inquest because I always thought that was biased and didn't hold law enforcement to accountability. But we all saw the video. We all have eyes. We saw what happened to Renee Good. We certainly saw what happened to Alex. And for anybody out there that is still defending what they did to Alex and what they did to Renee, if they're still defending it, then chances are they probably wanted it to happen. I really can't think of any other explanation.
Well, I have some right-wing friends, and it's like an alternate view of reality, and the lies get repeated and repeated, and then they use the term they drink the Kool-Aid, and they literally believe it. I mean, I've had friendships lost, ex-roommates, and I said, I look at them and I said, do you actually believe what these people are telling you? Oh yeah, he lost the election. I said, but look at the evidence, the rule of law. There's no evidence to prove the lie. It's just that simple.
Yeah. What are you going to do, by the way, if in 2028 it's J.D. Vance versus, I don't know, Gavin Newsom? How are you going to vote?
Oh, I'm a Californian. Just because of, I was never a big fan of Newsom, but just the alternative. I want to exercise my right to vote. I would go with Newsom. Put some fresh blood in there, and as a Californian, I'm not a rich guy, but the social programs were taken care of. And on a closing note, where people want to understand about illegals getting medical care, and a doctor explained it to me. He says, well, they give everybody medical care because you don't want to get the ER backed up with people just going in there for a simple cold. So,
but Larry, if somebody told you 10 years ago as a registered Republican that you'd be voting for Gavin Newsom, what would you have said?
I said, well, that's a good question. I'd have to think on that one. I would say he was a little too left at the time, but I didn't want to vote for Hillary, but after voting for Trump and seeing what he's done to the country, and you'd actually listen to Galvin, he does, as a world player, make some sense. I mean, California, I don't know, either fifth or sixth in the world as far as an economy, and I think he could do a good job. I really do.
Well, I'm really happy to hear you say that, Larry, and it makes me have some hope to know that there are Republicans out there like you, Larry, that can separate fact from fiction and that listen to this show, which I appreciate, and that are willing to tell the truth, Larry. And there are many of you out there. We just need to get you to vote the right way in this upcoming election and the midterms, which I believe somebody like you will. And I'm glad that there are people out there like you, Larry, that see what the damage that Trump is doing to this country, because it's so important, Larry. It's so important, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate you calling into the show. Thanks, you call back anytime, Larry, okay? Have a good weekend, bud. All right. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Again, that's 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Dave. Dave is next up on PTL. Hello, Dave.
Hey, what's up with Brian? Thanks for taking the call. How you doing?
Good, man. What's on your mind? Happy Friday.
I'm going to tell you right now, man, I don't trust any of these Republicans, the ones that are so remorse and say, man, I don't feel like, they're basically saying that, I feel bad. They're all turning away. And, look, these people are backstabbers, and I'm sorry, dude, but I don't feel sorry because they're going to,
Dave, you still there? We lost you. Yeah, we lost you for a second.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
I'm here.
Yep.
No, what I'm saying is that I don't trust any of these backstabber Republicans. I respect them for basically apologizing that they voted for the wrong guy. But look, they had their chance to vote for the wrong guy with Bush, and they took us to a war with weapons of mass destruction, and they didn't learn then. They didn't learn back then. And then they voted for Trump for the first time. And they didn't learn then, and they basically voted for him again. And now they didn't learn again.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Listen, for the people out there that voted for Trump 3 times, very difficult to have a serious conversation with any of those people, right? But now I'm focused on like right now, and it makes me feel good to know that there are people like Larry, the last caller out there. I appreciate that. But let me be very clear. I am going to generalize now, and usually I don't like to do so. If you are one of those people that is celebrating the arrest of Don Lemon, but have nothing to say about the Epstein files today, many of which were released, and you have nothing to say, nothing to see here when it comes to these 2 murders of 2 innocent, in my opinion, civilians, then I have nothing in common with you, and I want you to go to hell. I'm sorry. Some people might say, Brian, that's not nice. I don't care. If you are celebrating Don Lemon's arrest, and you think these 2 executions of 2 U.S. citizens, there's nothing to see here and they were justified, I literally hope you burn in hell, and I wish you nothing but the worst. And you know what? I guess I'm just not a forgiving person. I don't care. I don't care.
Well, you know something, Brian? I'm just telling you right now that these people are going to end up voting for they're going to go back to their old habits again, and they're going to think that they're going to vote for Vance. And they're going to say, oh, he's not a bad guy. Oh, he's not, this other Republican. Oh, he doesn't sound like a bad guy. And they keep voting for wrong idiots that are Republicans after what they put me through, or basically what I'm seeing on TV, or what you're talking about. You get tired of it. You know what I'm saying? Just tired of it.
And I'm at that point, Dave. I'm at that point, my friend. I do appreciate your call, and have a great weekend. 702-221-7283, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Stanley. Stanley is next up on PTL. Hi, Stanley.
Hello.
Yes. Hi, Stanley. Go right ahead.
Yes. I'm not understanding why so many people are shocked and surprised by the actions of Donald Trump. The mere fact, even before the man went into politics, he told everything about himself. And now people are surprised.
Yeah. Well,
where is the shock method?
Well,
I'm not understanding it.
I get your point. Maybe shock is not the right word that I would use. I didn't think that it would be this bad. I knew that it would be bad. I didn't think that innocent Americans would be executed on the streets. I didn't think that people like Don Lemon would be arrested for doing, in my estimation, nothing wrong. I didn't think that he would be kidnapping presidents in other countries and stealing oil. I didn't think that he'd be threatening military force against Greenland. I didn't think it would be this bad. Now, I did expect that he would be probably rolling out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin and kissing the ass of evil dictators. I did think that that would happen. I did think that the economy would go down the tubes and he wouldn't fix inflation and he would give big tax breaks to the top 1%. I did see that coming. The big and beautiful bill stuff was not a surprise to me at all. I'm not going to use the term shocked, but I am even a little bit surprised that he turned the military against our own people.
I'm not even understanding how you are a little bit surprised. I have told many of people that I've heard say Donald Trump should shut his mouth. I tell them, if he shuts his mouth, you don't know what he's about. Let anyone talk and you learn. Do your homework. Do your homework. Do your homework. Yeah. No one should be surprised at anything that this idiot, this sex perverted child molester has to say.
one of the first things that should have told the public what he was about was when he supposedly had his conversation, his locker room conversation about how he would approach a woman and touch her private parts.
Yeah.
How dare he? This is the United States. That man cares nothing about the United States. Nothing.
So listen, I agree
and
with you.
He shows it every day.
I completely listen. I wish everybody was educated as you are on Donald Trump, but I will say this: as long as you had enough information to know that you can't vote for him, that's enough for me. Unfortunately, there are a lot of Americans that don't.
Unfortunately, those that didn't vote, those of us that did not vote for him, we have to suffer along.
I agree.
That did.
Listen, I think if you sat out this election, there is absolutely and positively no excuse. I'm going to be listen, I've admitted multiple mistakes today, at least one. I'm going to admit another one. I made a very big mistake in 2016. Now, I didn't vote for Donald Trump because I did do my homework, but I didn't think Donald Trump would end up being the monster he was. I also did not vote for Hillary Clinton. I was never a big Hillary Clinton person. I made a very bad mistake, and I said to myself, I will never make a mistake like that again for the rest of my life. And you're damn right I voted for Joe Biden in 2020. And you're damn right I voted for Kamala Harris in 2024. And I will vote for a ham sandwich over any MAGA Republican in the future. And I will never make that same mistake again. I will never make that same mistake again. And for anybody out there that is complicit, maybe they're blinded by their party, there is no excuse. There's no excuse if you still support Donald Trump. I can tell you right now, while Kamala Harris was not perfect, Renee Good would still be alive if Kamala Harris was elected president. Alex Pretti would still be alive if Kamala Harris was elected president. I can guarantee you that right now. And there's a lot of other things in this country. We wouldn't have our own military fighting against our own citizens in this country.
Our citizens, killing them on the street.
If Kamala Harris was president, we would.
I want you to hold on a minute. I'm a grandparent. I will be 77 years of age in March. I have told people ever since I was 18 years of age, if you don't vote, shut your mouth. You don't even have an opinion as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, listen.
How can we explain to our children that are becoming and have just become of voting age? How can we explain to them about being a good citizen when what we have in the White House, and I'm talking about the whole administration, it's just not Donald Trump, it's his whole administration that's behind him. And the one major thing that I am concerned with is if hypothetically that we get rid of him, the next person in line is Vance.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's as bad as Donald Trump, if not worse.
Completely agree. I've made that statement time and time again on this show. You are 100% correct. We need to make sure that the midterms are a good turnout for Democrats. We need to make sure that no MAGA Republican ever becomes the president of the United States ever again. There are a lot of people, and thank you for the call, sir. Wonderful call. I couldn't agree with you more. There are a lot of politicians on Capitol Hill that are making statements about the Don Lemon arrest, which is absurd. Senator Chuck Schumer said, the arrest is a dark message to journalists everywhere. If you dare criticize this administration, watch your back. Don Lemon should be released at once and the frivolous charges against him dropped. Well, obviously, I agree with you, Chuck, but that's not going to happen. The Trump administration isn't going to be dropping any charges. But I do believe our court system will work its way through and Don Lemon will be exonerated. At least I certainly hope so. And we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. 702-221-7283, 702-221-SAVE. Who are we going to next here? Let's go to Scott. Scott is next. Hello, Scott.
Hey, how are you today?
Good. What's on your mind, Scott?
I think you understand now why when I first called in months ago how negative I was and how pessimistic I am about America. This country was always for rich white people, and even if you were white and you didn't have property, you weren't a citizen. So Trump is nothing new. He's just a continuation of the same crap we've had in America since day one. So that's all I got. I'll keep it quick. But now you understand why I'm so negative.
Well, I understand that as well, but we have to turn that negative energy into positive energy and get out there and vote in the midterms. We have to make sure that we have to do that, right? We have to.
I think it's gonna get worse before it gets better.
Well, I don't disagree with you. When you said that a few months ago, I didn't disagree with you then, and I certainly don't disagree with you now. But we have to do something about it, and we have to take to action, my friend, and I really do appreciate your call. I mean, listen, I don't really call it negative. I call it being honest. You're being honest, and I try to do that on the radio every single day. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Terry. Terry is next up on PTL. What's up, Terry?
Hi, good afternoon, Brian.
Hi.
Hi. I am hoping, and I think that America is waking up now, and I think that they're watching. I do.
I hope so.
And our country is now occupied by a fascist, and we must continue to resist and stand up and speak out. And last thing, I think it's our civic duty to advocate for justice for our brothers and sisters. People who are being harmed by this administration, the Don Lemons, the Renee Good, Alex Pretti. I mean, we have to keep our voices out there, and my God, we have to vote.
Well, that's what I keep echoing on this program every single day.
And I appreciate that, Brian.
Yeah,
I really do.
I thank you. And, we cannot let Renee Good and Alex Pretti's lives lost in vain. It's a terrible tragedy what happened to them. And as I've made it very clear, I believe it's murder in both cases. But, their lives are lost, and we have to look at them as martyrs in a sense that they lost their lives. And in the last moments of both of their lives, they were thinking of complete strangers. They were thinking of, I would imagine, strangers that are being treated unfairly, that are being roughed up, whether it be those that are being sent to jail or whether it be physically assault, you name it. Renee Good and Alex Pretti knew that what Trump's regime, evil fascist regime, was doing were terrorizing their community. And while I don't want anyone to be harmed or injured, and I'm not saying that Renee Good should have fled, I understand why she tried to get out of there, because I would imagine in the last seconds of her life, she was very, very scared. So I am not going to sit here and blame her for wanting to drive away because she was frightened and she was scared. Again, Alex Pretti, the last seconds of his life, he was caring about complete strangers, women that were pushed to the ground, protesters. Renee Good, she was there because she didn't like ICE terrorizing her community. And I don't care, frankly, whether she was committing a felony or not. The fact of the matter is she was shot in the face, dead. So they cannot die in vain. We have to think about them every day in the sense of we need to carry on, protest peacefully, and call out this fascist, Nazi-like regime until we get somebody else in office that understands that as Americans, we have freedom of speech. As Americans, we have the right to peacefully protest. As Americans, we have the right to carry legally. And we have the right to criticize an administration. We have the right to record in a church. There is no law. Let me repeat. There is no law that says if you're in church, you can't take out your cell phone and record. Don Lemon was not protesting. There is no law that says you can't interview somebody in a church. So good luck with the Trump administration trying to get these charges to stick, because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think they are. And Don Lemon's got a hell of an attorney. She is a hell of an attorney. And it's going to be egg in the face of the Trump administration. And ultimately, this is going to help Don Lemon. Mark my words. He already has millions of listeners and followers. This is going to help Don Lemon. who is a really, really good man, and I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate our friendship and what he has done for me. There's a lot of national shows that I would not be on a regular basis. I'm supposed to be on Piers Morgan Monday, and I will defend him, not just because he's my friend, because I know he didn't do anything wrong. And you don't have to be a friend of somebody to see what's going on here. I'm not a friend to Alex Pretti. Quite frankly, I wish I knew the man. I would have loved to have had a beer with Alex Pretti. I wish I knew Renee Good. I would have loved to have been able to sit down and talk to her. They seem like two caring individuals. I don't care if he kicked a car. I don't care if Alex Pretti kicked a vehicle. It doesn't make you a bad person. Okay?
Yeah, I believe they are all good human beings. Don Lemon, Renee, a lot of these people that are being picked up for no reason, they're good human beings just trying to live their lives. And I say amen to everything you just said, Brian. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, dear. You have a wonderful rest of your weekend. 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Maga's Nightmare. What's up? Hello, Maga's Nightmare. Lower your radio if you can, because we do have a 5-second delay, Maga's Nightmare. So you're going to have to lower your radio and then.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. Go right ahead.
I forgot.
That's okay.
I didn't know when you were going to pull me up.
You're good. You're good. Go right ahead.
I wanted to call in the other day when you had that caller Chuck on.
Yeah.
Because he was such an imbecile. He said suicide by cop.
Yeah, that's insane.
And I was just like throwing stuff at the TV. It was like
the Earth. That's a guy that thinks the Earth is flat. You can't have a logical conversation with some. You're right, imbecile like that. You can't.
Yeah, it so infuriated me. And I was talking to one of the other members on the chat.
Yep.
Yesterday, Cheryl something I think was her name, and she's Leo. And it infuriates me when I hear people saying that ICE is Leo, because I have Leo friends here locally, who are actually now they're kind of like my protection, because I just learned earlier today, I'm on the left coast of Florida, so I'm 3 hours away from you. I just learned earlier from a credible source that I am now on the domestic terrorist list of the DHS.
Why? Why?
I think it was because of what I do on X.
Okay.
Because
I
posted a lot of crazy stuff on X. I terrorize the magas every day on X, and apparently some of the things that I've said were a little over the line. And
well, be careful. Listen, we have to. Here's what I will say to you, and this is the best advice I would give to you. I was just talking to a friend of mine earlier this morning, and she was giving me advice. She's a pretty famous actress, and she's a close friend of mine, and she's also very outspoken, and she's also friends with Don Lemon. And she said, "Brian, be careful." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she's like, there's people out there that want to silence us. There's people out there that want to do to us what they're doing to Don Lemon. Be careful. So that's what I would say to you. Be careful. It's not going to stop me from doing my radio show every day. It's not going to stop me from speaking my mind every day, but we have to choose our words wisely. Please be careful, because the Trump administration is just looking for an excuse to silence us. Let's go to Derek. Derek is next on PTL. Hey, Derek, what's up?
Hey, Brian. I found your podcast about a year and a half ago, and I almost wrote you off just because of your last name. But boy, am I glad I didn't. You are amazing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
And one thing I've always wanted to say that I never really hear anybody talk about, and it comes down with the Epstein files, is everybody always just focuses on the island. Like, I want to ask a question. Do you think, I'm not sure if I can say rape on here or not, but because I say grape, could a grape not happen in the back of a limo?
Of course it can. Of course it can.
In fancy hotel rooms. Could it not happen on his airplane everywhere they flew?
Unfortunately, a sexual assault can happen anywhere, at any time, at any place. Here's what we know for sure. We were told, and I was called a liar, because I've been saying for years that Trump is all over the Epstein files. We knew he was in the Epstein files. Now it's proven. We also know that there are extremely disgusting and serious allegations against Donald Trump, allegedly doing things to very young girls. And you don't have to be, as your point that you just made, which is correct, you didn't have to be on Epstein Island to do these things. Why would these young girls lie? Can somebody please give me one explanation as to why all these young girls in the files that made these claims? Oh, yeah, by the way, Elon Musk is also in the Epstein files, but I'm sure MAGA don't want to talk about that, right? Why would all these young girls lie? They haven't been paid off. Why would they all lie? Other than being truthful and being honest.
But when you have the amount of people that have said something that he has done wrong, it has to add up at some point.
Yeah. Of course, this is a guy that sexualized his own daughter, right? Yeah. I mean, this is a guy. Listen, I'm just going to call it for what it is. Okay. I'm going to call it for what it is. Yes, I believe Donald Trump is a sexual abuser. And what they said and what the claims are in the Epstein files, I believe to all be true. When you sexualize your own daughter, when you have 20 plus women that have accused you of rape or sexual assault, it gets to a certain extent where you say to yourself, geez, these women are probably telling the truth. And you happen to be best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a decade. Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if they found evidence that there was sex trafficking going on at Mar-a-Lago. And think about this for a moment. Think about this for a moment. They only released 3 million of the files. There's 3 million more that they didn't release. Imagine what's in there, my friend. Imagine that.
And look at how heavily redacted the ones that they did release were.
Exactly.
Right.
And you don't have to be you don't even have to be that smart to understand. You just have to have some common sense and logic, my friend. I really do appreciate your call. Thank you so much, Derek. Let's go to Ed. Ed is next on PTL. What's up, Ed?
Yes.
Yes, Ed. Go right ahead.
Oh, am I on?
Yes, go right ahead, Ed.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Hey, Brian, this is Ed from Jackson, and I just want to talk about these shootings. It was just pure murder.
Mm-hmm.
But did you know that in the United States, police kill anywhere from 1,200 to 1,300 citizens a year?
Mm-hmm.
And they say that number is probably low, and some say it may even be double.
And they're not all justified. They're not all justified. We know that for sure.
Right. But listen to this. In the European Union, or just say 13 countries in Europe combined, in 3 years, they killed their policemen had to kill 488 people.
Yeah.
We kill more in a month than they do in years.
Yeah.
They don't kill when these people protest and all. They don't just go out and start shooting and acting like the Gestapo. And like I saw a little heading the other day, even the Gestapo didn't wear a mask.
I am very, not only I agree with obviously with what you said, but we had, I don't know if you heard, we had Aaron Rupar, who's a great journalist who lives in Minneapolis, and he told us today that nothing has changed there the last couple of days. The temperature hasn't been turned down. The protests continue. He sees just as many ICE agents that were out there now as they were a week ago. That is extremely problematic. So it doesn't seem like anything is calming down anytime soon. And to be honest with you, I am extremely concerned that we are going to see more murders on the streets. I hope I'm wrong, but I haven't seen anything to tell me otherwise.
Yeah, I do too. But don't you find it ironic? I mean, I'm so glad though they're protesting, and it is colder than you know what in Minneapolis. And I mean, that's just unbelievable. But they're changing things and getting noticed. But isn't it ironic or hypocritical? Donald Trump is killing people in the Caribbean,
mm-hmm.
just murdering people.
Yep.
He's killed, I hear all the time that Obama killed more people overseas in Syria and places like that. I looked into it. You can look it up. You can go to Air Wars. I think it's airwars.com. Trump has killed, it says that Trump killed more people than any president in the last, 20 years. And that you always hear, oh, I voted for him because he didn't want to be in any conflicts overseas. I mean, and like you were saying, Brian, I cannot believe the stupidity of the Trump supporters. What are they supporting? Number one. And then
I'll tell you what they're supporting. I'll tell you what they're supporting, my friend. It's a really good question. They support probably what they support, which is bigotry, racism, attacks on minorities in this country, and some of the people in this country that are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. That's exactly what they're doing, my friend. And I appreciate your phone call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. 702-221-7283. Who are we going to next year? Let's quickly go to Lou. Lou is next on PTL, and then I think we got to get to our guest here in a minute, but we'll take a few more calls. Let's go to Lou. Lou, what's up?
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Good.
Great show, man. We need
Thank
more
you.
people like you.
Thank you.
But let me just say this. I was watching Cuomo last night, right? And he had on Katie Pavlich. You know who she is, right?
Yeah.
He said that the Democrats and the protesters welcome murder, so they have something to go for.
So stupid.
I couldn't believe I heard that from a human being.
It's so stupid. These people that say Democrats want this, it couldn't be further from the truth. Keep in mind, MAGA Republicans are the same people that called those who beat police officers on January 6th patriots. Okay. So stop it with the nonsense. It's such a joke. Yeah. People on the left want this to happen. No. People on the right are defending murder. I can give you so many examples, including the president of the United States. One more quick phone call, then I got to get to my guest. Let's go to Joe. Joe, you're on. Go right ahead. Hi, Joe. Joe, are you there? Did we lose Joe? I think we lost Joe. Joe, thanks for calling in, buddy. Try back again on Monday. All right, so this has been a very stressful time for a lot of people, not just with these murders that have been taking place in Minneapolis, but of course, my friend Don Lemon arrested yesterday. This is wild and crazy. Obviously, we need a way to escape. We need a way to relax. We need a way to spend time with family and friends and kind of get away from the madness. And to end the week of shows, what better person to do that with than the OnlyFans model, former pastor. Thank God she got out of that cult of right-wing evangelical MAGA nut jobs. My friend, Nicole Mitchell, joining us right now on the program. Nicole, it is so good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Nicole, are you there? Nicole can't hear us. Oh, that's not good. We're having some audio issues. Something tells me that a lot of my listeners would just enjoy just watching Nicole, and that would be just fine by them. I don't know, but I guess we're having some audio issues. Nicole, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I'm so sorry. I'm here.
That's okay. Good to see you, Nicole. How are you?
Happy Friday. I'm so good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Nicole, we need some life coaching from you today, all right?
Let's do it.
You ready?
I'm ready.
So there's a lot of people out there, rightfully so. I'm one of them. Yeah. Stressed out, scared, upset, all these emotions. What's going on in Minneapolis? I know. My personal friend, Don Lemon, who was arrested last night. It's insane. What can people do, and what advice would you give them to, kind of exhale and try to clean your mind a little bit, which is very difficult to do? What advice would you give them?
You have permission to tune out the noise. It's so hard because I feel like good people like you, like me, like our friends, we're so afraid to turn off the news and to put the phone down because we feel like we're a bad human. Like, who am I to ignore the atrocities in the world? But if it is getting to a point where it is tanking your mental health and it's making you feel debilitated and you can't function, it is your responsibility to put it down. And so whether you need to go watch your favorite movie, you need to get together with friends so you're not alone, you need to go for a swim to just feel the water on your body, like whatever you need to do to be in your body and to feel good is your number one job. Because the atrocities are still going to be there tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So you have to learn how to protect yourself in the midst of all the horrific things that are happening.
I think that's really good advice. I'll tell you one thing I won't be doing. I won't be going to the movie theaters to watch the new Melania documentary. That's something that I will not be doing. By the way, this is funny and true. On Craigslist, they're putting ads out. They're willing to pay people $50 to sit in a seat and sit through an entire movie. And it says in there explicitly, you cannot get up in the movie. You have to sit there for the entire movie. $50. I don't know. Would you do that? I don't think I would.
Not for 50. No freaking way. That's nothing. Like,
add a couple zeros. Add a couple zeros. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a movie that I will not be seeing. I will tell you that right now. That is for sure. So, like, if somebody says to you, Nicole, I can't just clear my mind. I'm thinking about these two Americans that were killed by ICE agents. I can't clear my mind. I'm seeing what they're doing to great journalists like Don Lemon. I can't just, get my mind off it by, having dinner with friends. Or like, what would you say to them if they told you that?
Like, cry it out. go to a freaking rage room, break stuff, like don't keep the emotion in there. Like there's days where I'm so overwhelmed by grief from the world that I will purposely put on a sad movie so I can just cry my eyes out and get it out of my system. So if you have rage, if you have grief, if you have disappointment, like channel that in a way that actually gets it through your body and not stuck in your body. Like we have to do something with it, because if it just eats at you, we are not helping the world at all. The villains are winning when we shut down. So if we can channel that rage into crying or a rage room or whatever, and then find our zen again and choose to rise up and be the good in the midst of the atrocity, that's how we fight back.
So what would you say to like someone who's using their First Amendment rights, like a protester, but a protester who's throwing out vulgarities at an ICE agent? Now, I totally understand their frustration, and trust me, to a large extent, I am on their side. But what would you say to somebody that's kind of letting it out in that way? Do you think that's appropriate? Do you think they can, channel that into something more productive? What would you say to somebody like that who's just screaming and yelling obscenities like at these ICE agents?
So I do think people have different ways of channeling their rage. I always think of I think of Martin Luther King Jr. and I think of Malcolm X. They had two very different approaches to finding peace in our country and fighting for their people's rights, right? And I think it's true to this day. Some people are more the behind the scenes peacemakers and doing things quietly, and there's people who are in your face screaming. And I honestly think we need both. I'm not that way. I will not scream obscenities. I will not be in your face. I'm not confrontational. So I actually envy people like that who can just say what they're thinking and feeling, because I don't have the capacity to do that. But I will sit down and I will donate money and I will call my politicians and I'll do things behind the scenes that I believe are just as effective. So I never judge someone and say, you shouldn't do that. I think sometimes obscenities are the right thing. I think people should be called out for the horrible things they're doing, and also be as safe as you can while you do those things.
Here's a question that I never asked you before, Nicole, because you live in California. What do you think about Gavin Newsom? Do you like him? Do you dislike him? What are your opinions on him?
I like him. I like his willingness to stand up to the powers. I like his willingness to maintain his commitment to people's rights here in our state, and even in the midst of our federal government trying to take them away. I know he's not perfect, but standard of perfection is not available for anyone. But if he's willing to fight for those who deserve rights, which is everyone, they will have my vote and they will have my backing.
I'll tell you, it's unfortunate because I wish on a day like today I can go with Nicole to the AVN Expo. That certainly releases some tension for me. I wish we could do that again because that was a lot of fun last week. I really had a lot.
I like those moments where in the midst of America going down the crapshoot, that we have these avian conventions, that we have get-togethers, that we have clubs, that we have moments where we can find our release, because we have to have that. So whatever it is for you guys this weekend, whatever's going to give you that release, I'm assigning you as a life coach. Get your release on this weekend because we need you to be in this for the long haul.
And listen, Nicole, let's be honest here. Okay. There are some people that claim they hate me on social media, but in my personal opinion, I think they get their release by pleasuring themselves to a poster of me at night before they go to sleep. That's just my personal opinion.
Thank you for your service, Brian. Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, I'm helping release tension to so many of these bigot MAGA supporters, and they watch my show. They're obsessed with me. And they think about me 24/7. So if I can help them get through the day because a woman doesn't want to go anywhere near them, then hey, at least I'm playing my part, I guess, right?
You are making the world go round. We wouldn't know what we do without Brian Shapiro. So you're welcome to everyone who hates but gets off to Brian. You're welcome.
So Nicole, give out the information. People want you to be their life coach, and you've done a good job for a lot of people. Where would they go to find you?
Yeah, you can come to my website, NicoleMitchell.com, NIKOLEMITCHELL.com. There's a life coaching link bio where you can send me contact information and I'll respond to you. And I'm here for you. That support is always valuable, but especially when we're going through really scary and hard times. And I'm here for you.
Going to a club in Las Vegas with Nicole Mitchell and Courtney Tilia and having some beverages is certainly a good escape from what is going on in the serious topics that I have to talk about every day. We all have our ways. That's one of my ways. Okay. I just want to be honest.
Thank you for making time for us, because I know you're so busy and I know you're doing such important work, like making people aware of what's going on and educating people and fighting back. So thank you for taking time to come to the club and hang out. Cause it's hard. It is hard to unwind when you're so in it. And so I appreciate that you did that with us. We love
Of course. I can't wait to hang out with you guys again soon. Maybe you'll be in California. I might be out there in a couple weeks. I'll let you know.
Let me know.
I will. Nicole Mitchell, looking beautiful as always. Thanks for joining us. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Take care, Nicole. All right, there you go, everybody. That's Nicole Mitchell. All right. Very stressful times that we're living in. I texted Don, and my understanding is he's not out yet. I know that a couple of the people that they did arrest are out. I find it interesting that he's not. As soon as I can give you guys some sort of update on him, I will let you guys know. My understanding is he just appeared in court, so we will give you the latest on that on Monday, of course, and we will try to fill you in on all that as soon as we can. But hopefully he'll be released. Hopefully not hours. Hopefully, I'm hoping in a matter of minutes. So we will wait and see. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, if you support what I do, you like what I do, you want to get more involved, check out my website, pushingthelimits.live. Again, that website is pushingthelimits.live. I will be appearing on Pierce Morgan on Monday morning. I think it airs a little bit later on in the day, so certainly looking forward to that appearance. I will not put up any crap from any of these MAGA mushroom gobblers. Whatever you can afford, $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you can do, we appreciate it. We appreciate all of you on the YouTube Super Chat that have donated today. And check out the website, pushingthelimits.live, as we put those YouTube Super Chats up there on the screen. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys, and we appreciate your support. Thank you so much for that. And we will see you guys on Monday, same time, same place. Have a great weekend, everybody.
You are way too smart, way too talented, way too good to be where you are. You are meant to be making way more money, feel way hotter in your body, and having